just distraught over what is happening. Secretaries of state don't have security, so in those states, so which means people come to their house, bang on their doors, threaten their children, take pictures of their families, and they have no security at all. You know, one Secretary of State was told, well, if you want to be secure, you need to go live in the governor's mansion with his family, you know, as if he's some servant or something to live with somebody else, because they will provide them with no security whatsoever. That's not true in California. All constitutional officers have security. So what happens is that it gives me a unique opportunity to not only represent California, but put a stake in the ground, because as California goes, so goes the nation. And to really make sure that these issues are clear and that we are unapologetic about it, and to raise these issues about voting across the nation, which I have done and continue to do in editorials, as well as working to raise funds and being actively engaged with the national organization to make sure that our votes are secured not only here, but across the nation. So it is a unique opportunity because of California's position, being the largest state in the union, having the largest, our economy, we're the fifth largest in the world. And if not in the United States, probably would fall in its ranking among other states with regards to California's economy. So given all those things, it gives us a unique opportunity. Every statewide elected official has a unique opportunity to do more than just simply represent California.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the one question that we did get in the chat. So we do have a few minutes if people want to drop in some short questions. This one, you can perhaps put on your previous hat, or if you can answer wearing the hat you are now, that would be great. We've been fighting for better education and educational outcomes throughout our history of freedom in America. Still in pursuit, and it seems like we're not making the gains we need. What's the path forward to obtain learning justice for our Black children in California?
Well, it's interesting you asked me this question, because I just left the meeting with the county superintendent of instruction, who still calls on me as a friend to hear his projects, see what's going on, and hopefully push forward. Most of you know my daughter is now the assembly member in my seat in the 79th Assembly District, and I'm proud of the fact that she has introduced a couple of pieces of legislation, one dealing with issues of social justice with regards to young people, and keeping folks from being suspended and expelled from schools, which is generally affects our kids most. But also the funding of resources for African American children, something that I fought for many years, and we once got 300 million, but it wasn't ongoing, and it was very controversial and what have you. But now we're at the point where we will probably end up with $300 to $700 million every year for the lowest performing kids, which are African American kids, and it will be ongoing funding. And so,
congratulations. And congratulations to your daughter.
It will be placed in the governor's budget. He's agreed to it. He's got a document, and it will be in the governor's budget come when we're fighting for it in January, and she's fashioning the issues that it is. So finally, after 4 or 5 years of constantly fighting it, a little bit here, a little bit there, she took it on the challenge, and I was very proud of the fact that we're finally getting kind of done after all the constant pressure with the same bill over and over. So we're doing some things, but I tell people that education is really the heartburn for me, because I know it is a linchpin for success. That without a strong education, it's going to be difficult for our kids to be successful. I know that. So difficult, if not impossible. Let me say that. And so it demands constant attention. We have to pick people who run for office who believe in our kids. All of them, not just the ones that are in our neighborhood, but throughout the nation. I was picked a part of the King Hunt Institute. And I was picked a part of it because they said, we want to pick elected officials who we think should become governor, who are going to be advocates for education. And I said to them, I'm not running for governor. So he said, yeah, but we never know. I said, no, we do.
You're third in line, something can happen.
The other two people, please. So anyway, in the long conversation, because what pushes us forward is leadership at the top, but equally what makes leadership at the top is the people at the bottom.
That's right.
We have to find folks at the bottom, and we are part of that who are going to push unapologetically for our children. Critical. I mean, that is it. And so it requires constant attention. Someone says it's constant. Just put it in constant attention to get us where we want to go without apologies, without listening to other. One of the things I learned when I was on the school board, people would come up to the dais and say, my little Johnny, and they'd be from La Jolla somewhere. My little Johnny needs to be in so and so, so and so, boom, dee boom, dee boom. And you could say, well, ma'am, that's really nice, but we have to consider the fact that our children, and they stopped, wait a minute, hold up. I'm talking about little Johnny. I ain't talking about nobody else's kids. Whatever these people do is fine with me, but this is for mine. And these people are unapologetic. You could tell them, if I give your kids something to eat, 5 other people gonna starve. This person say, let them starve. You find something for them to eat. But meanwhile, little Johnny got to eat. Unapologetic about the success of their kids. And we have not been strong enough to be unapologetic.
But actually, we've been socialized, haven't we, to give away our part? We concede to diversity as opposed to saying we want this.
We've been socialized to take care of everybody but ourselves. And
so we're at the end, and this is already getting good again. But we're at the end. So let me ask this: that little girl from Hope, Arkansas, now third in line in the most populous state in the U.S., 5th global economy, all of that. What would you tell that young person who wants to be Secretary of State? Let's say that young person is 22. College graduate. What's the next thing?
I live by, first of all, I live by certain principles because I never aspired to be Secretary of State. I always aspired to make a difference. And I tell anybody who's going to run for office, particularly if you're in a position like this, above all things, to thine own self be true. Someone gave me that when I graduated from high school, because I think that is critically important. We have too many Black folks who decide they want to run for office because it makes them important. It makes them significant. You got to be important before you run. You have a sense of internal importance. Most folks know I was important before I became Secretary of State, before I became a school board member, before I, all those things, because I was determined to make a difference. And nobody was going to buy me off for some small piece of stuff. And so we need people, we've often got people, but we need people who really, and I say this because I work with a lot of Black elected officials. We need people who are going to stand firm for us, period. We're unapologetic for us. And often, and that doesn't mean at the expense of other people. When I was getting ready to get in the school board, one of the school board members I met with while I was running, I met with all of them. And she said, well, I've only heard one bad thing about you. And I said, what is that? She said that you are really in favor of Black kids. The one bad thing. Now, can you imagine this?
Yes. Yeah, I've heard that too.
And I looked at her because I could only imagine what she was thinking in her brain. I said, well, did they tell you that I hate white people? She said, oh my God, no. I said, because I don't. That's not the issue. I said, simply because I'm advocating for kids who look like me, because nobody else is, doesn't mean I'm not helping everybody else. And so she had to back up and think about it. But I said, why do you think that's so bad? So because it's normal to advocate for yourself and then to advocate for others as well. And so it was interesting and so what happens is that people were apprehensive when I came in the school board. Those who were staff and assistants, all these people were apprehensive to ever talk about, we gonna help Black kids. And so every time I get ready to talk, I say, well, I'm gonna say something that y'all don't like to hear, but it has to start with the B word, and it's about Black kids. You have to raise this issue consistently, and you have to support those people who are going to do that. You can't have these milquetoast leadership people who kind of come in with this broad view of saving the world and have done nothing to help Black kids. My standard when people ask me about different people that are want to be this, superintendent, whatever it is, and I say, this person has been in a district for 25 years. What have they ever done for Black people? I want to know. I know you've gotten certificates and credentials, and you've done certain kinds of things. I want to know, what have you done for Black kids?
Let me ask you this, because we do have to go. What do you want? What's that one sentence? What do you want people to say you've done for Black Californians?
Well, I hope people say that not only have I been courageous and unapologetic and all those kinds of things, but I've been unyielding in my devotion and commitment for change. That the things I've done have not been about me, but have been about them, and that I've never been afraid to take on the hard issues of California. And it's interesting enough that they weren't that hard after all, because people just needed to raise the issue on our behalf. So if people say anything about me, I hope they say at some point that, this woman fought every battle that was right. She won some, she lost some, but you never question her integrity in the battle.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thank you for your time and your insightful words. And your years and years and years of public service as an academic, as a legislator, and 18 months as our Secretary of State. And thank you, audience, for your careful attention. Thank you in advance for voting in these critical midterm elections and for voting your values. I will now turn the program over to BAPAC San Diego President Ellen Nash for closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, California Secretary of State, Dr. Shirley Weber, for that powerful presentation and that powerful conversation that we've had. And of course, our moderator, Cheryl Althea Phelps, for being here today. And it is now 3:01. I just want to announce that BAPAC San Diego will be launching our inaugural or the Margin of Victory, which by the way was coined by Dr. Shirley